Hello YouTube. Welcome to Bry Guy Builds. This is another video. Kind of doing some updating on what's going on. I haven't posted a video in a while. Back in March, I did a trip from Missouri to North Carolina, about 2,500 miles or so, and wanted to kind of give an update since I've installed the larger tires on fuel economy. Just to reiterate, I took a trip with everything done on the truck, the lift kit and everything, but with the stock original 29-inch tall tires that I took down to Texas. And on that trip, I think the best tank of fuel I think I got was 25 miles per gallon, and I think I averaged like 22 and a half or 23 miles per gallon. Since that trip back in November, like I was saying, I took a trip from Missouri to Raleigh in March. Since I've had the bigger 33-inch Falcon Wild Peaks on there, and just wanted to kind of give an update on fuel economy. And that trip likewise was about 2,500 miles, and over the entire trip, the truck did pretty good. It averaged 21 miles per gallon overall, with the best tank of fuel, which was actually running between Knoxville, Tennessee, and Raleigh, North Carolina, which went through the mountains on I-40. But once I came out of the mountains, it's pretty flat and there wasn't any wind. On that tank of fuel, actually averaged 23 and a half miles per gallon. Pretty respectable. One thing I did notice that more so than the tires and all the modifications as far as affecting fuel economy, it's the wind. The wind is the biggest factor in what kind of fuel economy you're going to get. On that trip with the bigger tires, I had a tank of gas that probably was only 17 or 18 miles per gallon. It seemed like I was running through against the wind both directions. So one thing I have come to realize is that the wind is the biggest killer on fuel economy when you have a lifted truck. Obviously the wind has a lot more to catch. You got the bigger tires. There's no protection keeping the wind from getting underneath the truck. So there's a lot of stuff for the air to catch. But still, over the whole trip to average 21 miles per gallon, I'm very happy with that. And with no wind on flat ground, which when does that ever happen? The perfect case scenario to get 23 and a half miles per gallon. That was pretty impressive considering I'm running the bumper, everything catching the air with the bigger tires. So that's the update on the truck. Truck's pretty much done other than some off-road lights, which I might get around to taking care of sometime here in the next month. But because one thing I do notice with the truck, and this is with any vehicle really, if you're running in the rain at night, maybe there's a little bit of fog, you need some aftermarket lighting. So I think that's the biggest drawback, and with this less expensive Ford Ranger XL truck, it's got the halogen lights. I've got no fog lights on here because I went with the cheapest truck I could get. So I'm debating on in the location where the factory fog lamps would be, putting some SAE floodlights down in there, and then maybe adding some 5-inch pods up on my nudge bar with a combo driving spot beam. Or a flood driving combo beam. And I'm kind of leaning towards the diode dynamic lights. They're in Missouri and St. Louis, which I'm pretty close to, and I'm going to be there the end of May, 1st of June, and I think I'm going to run by the facility and talk to them and maybe pick up some lights. So that's enough about the truck. I'm moving on to my off-road trailer. I haven't posted much on it because I realized that if I was to start building the skeleton frame and everything without having all the components, I'd end up having to redo stuff. So I have accumulated all the components I'm going to need for the trailer, and um, I'll kind of show you that, and I'll kind of also talk about the exterior shell I'm planning on putting on the trailer here after I kind of go over what I'm going to be doing with the trailer, and I kind of go over some decisions I still have to make. So, as I've kind of said before, that it's 6.5 foot wide by 10.5 foot long. I'm going to have a 54-inch wide dinette uh, here in the very front of the trailer. It's going to take up pretty much almost everything in front of the wheel wells. And that's going to be a dinette, so I've got a workspace if I'm inside or if the weather's bad and I'm maybe editing some video or even cooking, whatever. I've got a seat and a dinette table to work on. Of course, that'll fold down to a full-size bed. So over the driver's side wheel well, I think I'm going to be putting a small uh, bathroom sink with a little cabinet underneath and a medicine cabinet. Uh, in this back corner, I'm going to put a shower stall, probably 32 by 36, and I'm going to be utilizing a porta potty that I'm just going to place inside that and basically make a wet bath. And so that's going to take up that back corner back there. The door I am planning on mounting above this wheel well, something sort of like this. And the reason I decided here as opposed to here, or maybe even back here, is because with it here, I can just kind of step over the wheel well when I'm coming in. It might be a little awkward coming out, but I, over the wheel well, with it being right next to the dinette, if I put some cabinetry or something in right here, it would kind of interfere with getting in and out of the dinette. So I decided the door, this would be a good place to do that. And that would leave me this back corner nook here to set up for a kitchen. A place to put, I've got a couple of set power 12-volt refrigerators. One is the dual 45 that has a removable section, so it can be a refrigerator or freezer, or all freezer or all refrigerator. But I also bought, so that's the 45 quart. I also bought a 21 quart that I was thinking that when I'm starting out and I've got a full load of groceries or whatever, I'll keep that smaller one inside the truck and use it as a freezer. And then as I'm eating my refrigerated food out of the larger 45 quart refrigerator, it gets to a point I can go ahead and convert the small compartment of that set power refrigerator to the freezer and then put that stuff in, and not use the small one in the truck. That's kind of the thinking. But so in this corner, I'll have to have the refrigerator, some countertop. Uh, I'm going to want to be able to have a one burner stovetop of some sort in this area, and of course some cabinets as well. And then everywhere I can find space overhead, I'm going to have some cabinets too for storage. So that kind of, this back area kind of sets up for my kitchen. And then of course the shower right here on this far wall will be the bathroom sink, the little hand sink for brushing your teeth, washing your hands, with a medicine cabinet. And then, like I say, the dinette is going to be here. So I don't want to go real tall because you can kind of see here, you know, I'm 6 foot tall, so the top of the truck is about 6 foot, and this is a little over 2 foot tall. So if the top of the trailer was going to be the same height as the truck, that would only give me 4 foot basically of height in here. So of course that's not going to be enough, but I don't want 6 foot. I don't want it sticking up real high over the truck, because if if I do end up going off-road and some trails, I don't want it sticking up so high that it's catching branches and possibly doing some damage, because I will have the vent that's bi-directional. It's a real nice vent. I'm going to probably locate somewhere here in the back third. And also I'm planning on doing a passive solar water heater up on the roof as well, probably using some PEX coiled up to run some water through to heat up for taking just a shower. I'm not planning on having a water heater, no furnace. I'm really keeping this thing as basic as possible to keep the load down. That's kind of why I'm going with the porta potty. I don't want to have any holding tanks. So that would eliminate a black water tank by having the porta potty. And I can empty that thing anywhere. I've used them before, so I don't have a problem using them. And as far as the gray water, I think I'm going to just install a 4 or 6 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe along the bottom, just to hold a few gallons in case I'm in a parking lot camping. The water's just not going out on the ground. So I will have something to kind of capture some gray water. As far as a freshwater tank, the front dinette being 54 inches wide, I'm planning on mounting a freshwater tank up in the front, sort of underneath this front area right in here, because the actual the base will be kind of U-shaped, even though there might be just 2 cushions that are going to fold down like they normally would once you put the table down and fill in the slot to convert the dinette into a sleeping area. So it's probably looking like I'll probably have room under there for about a 30-gallon freshwater tank. I haven't purchased that yet because I don't know the exact dimensions I'm going to have available yet, but I'm going to try and get obviously as big a water tank as I can up there. As far as so what I ended up going with were these windows that are traditionally sort of like an emergency escape windows. They just kind of pop open, which I like because if it's raining, you've got some protection as opposed to a sliding window, and it's a big enough size, and it's going to be, obviously somewhere in this dinette area. And the actual window I have comes with a screen and a nightshade, so that's pretty nice. So there'll be 2 windows, one on each side of the dinette. Wherever the back of the cushion for the dinette ends will be about where the bottom of the window will start and go up. And then directly below the window will be a compartment door on each side. And on this particular side, this is kind of where I'm figuring my outdoor kitchen is going to be. So this compartment door on this side will be kind of like a pantry, so to speak. I'll be able to open that up and have a quick disconnect for a water spigot, and then my seasoning and canned foods and cooking utensils and stuff like that will all be in that space underneath the base for the dinette. So it'll be a pretty good sized space under there, being a 54-inch wide by 12 inches deep and probably 12 inches tall. So it'll be a pretty good sized compartment in there that I can work my little outdoor kitchen stuff can be in. It probably won't be big enough to fit the 2-burner stove or anything, but it'll be big enough just about for everything else. So I plan on, having a water hookup there, and for washing dishes, rinsing off, and then also for, maybe washing sand off your feet or something in that area. I've got a 5-foot long, kind of like a 30-inch wide, one of those white plastic resin tables that'll I'll use over in here, and then I'll have some type of awning set up, whether it's an easy up to start with, or maybe I'll, after I get it built, upgrade to some type of bat wing awning to go over and cover this area out here that I will most of the time be in. Um, that's what I was kind of leaning towards, an easy up, because uh, the side of the trailer, I've got this kind of like a stake bed truck would have on a, as far as a bed siding here with the, I've got some 2x4 pockets here, but I could put the legs of that easy up kind of in here to kind of secure it into place. And then of course they make some sides you can velcro onto these easy ups, whether it be a solid side, or they even make a side that's got a two-person tent that velcros off and goes onto it. You know, so I might have a couple of sides or whatever for that, and of course some lights and stuff. So most of the time I'll be outside, but if the conditions aren't good, uh, I have the ability to come into the camper. A lot of people might ask, you know, why I'm doing all of this as far as like compared to a rooftop tent or something else. I've been there, done that with the tent camping. I don't care for it. If you've watched any videos, you'll see anytime people are out at Penn, South Padre Islands National Park, most of the time people leave because it's too windy, because they've got these rooftop tents, and how are you going to sleep inside of a rooftop tent? The wind's blowing and flapping all over the place, and the wind's blowing sand everywhere. It's just like, most of the places I like to go are going to be windy, whether it's Moab or Las Cruces up in the mountains, anywhere. You know, you got to deal with wind, and a tent's just not good for that. You know, so that's why I'm kind of going this route, because I plan on every late fall, early winter, spending 3 months in this trailer every year, you know, from October through December. So it needs to be something that I can be comfortable in and get out of the weather. Um, I'm going to have gas lines ran in, so I'll have a gas line quick disconnect port out here and a quick disconnect port for the kitchen area for if I am inside making coffee or heating up a cup of soup. Uh, uh, I can do that. You know, so I've got the minimal number of windows. I got the compartment doors. Uh, probably, I'm looking at probably uh, a, a 6 foot total height, including the framework. So probably the finished interior height is probably going to be 5.5 feet. So I'm 6 foot tall, so I'll have to crouch over a little bit, but it's not something I'm going to be spending all my hours in. Most of the time I'm going to be sitting in a chair here looking at wherever I'm at, whether it's, you know, overlooking, you know, the Colorado River, you know, at Escalante, or, you know, I'm, you know, on the beach on South Padre Island. You know, I'm not going to be in the trailer. I'm going to be, you know, sitting outside. So I'm not real concerned about having to crouch over a little bit while I'm in the trailer. Um, and I'm not wanting to clutter it. I'm trying to keep it down low in weight, trying to stay under 2,000 pounds. My spring capacity, I believe, is 2,400 pounds. So I'm trying to keep that as light as possible. So that kind of brings me to my exterior finish. I kind of was going back and forth. What type of exterior finish am I going to put on this thing? Because a big part of it is this trailer might be getting dragged down some trails. And, you know, sometimes it can be a little narrow, you know, so the sides have got to be able to take some pinstriping. So I had to keep that in mind on whatever type of finish I was going to put on it. So I'm kind of leaning towards the aluminum diamond plate. And originally I had planned on a .063 thickness on that diamond plate, which would have been great. That would have given me a lot of dent resistance and gouging resistance. The problem with that is weight, expense, and really the handling, the cutting, and everything with it. Everything becomes more difficult with the thicker gauge. So what I ended up going with from Diamond Plate Online was a thin 0.25 thickness aluminum in 4 by 10 sheet dimensions. And for multiple reasons. One, shipping was very easy because it's thin enough that it rolls up and they just ship them in boxes. Uh, Secondly, it kept my costs down. I think I've got $1,300 and I have basically 9 4 by 10 sheets. Two of the 4 by 10 sheets I have cut in half, so I have 7 4 by 10 sheets and 4 2 by 10 sheets. So what I'm thinking about doing is having a 4-foot piece, single piece going front to back, and then a 2-foot piece, and then I'll cut some 4 or 5 inch wide pieces to cover the joint. And one of the problems I'm coming at, the parts of things I haven't decided on, is the actual trailer is 10.5 foot. So my sheets are 10 foot. So that stuff is thin enough I could bend it around the corner. But my problem comes up in the roof. With the roof being 6.5 foot wide by 10.5 foot long, now it gets down to, well, how am I going to piece that together? And so these are things I haven't quite figured out yet. So the other thing is, originally I had planned on coming up 4 foot and then angling back to the roof line, and for like a 2.5, 3 foot long piece going this way, to help with the wind resistance and everything. And I'm leaning against that because it's going to complicate the build, and it would keep me from being able to bend the metal around the corners, and would also negate the ability of me to hang some interior cabinets above that dinette, because they'd be at an angle and it'd be a lot of custom work. Whereas if it's just a square up in the front, it'd be a whole lot easier to install some cabinets up there and do the metal work. And also even really building the wood skeleton structure that I plan on building, it'll just take a lot of the complication out if I just leave that front going straight up. So that's kind of the other thing with it being 10.5 feet long, that with the roof, do I really want to maybe somehow bring the back metal up and kind of come over to fill in that gap, or just go ahead and just make it 10 foot and leave a 6-inch area in the back here, not use the entire 10.5 foot length that I have in the trailer, which is a possibility because I'm planning on putting a box back here, a storage box, and that would give me a little bit more surface area for that thing to sit down on. So still some things I have to decide on, but I did want to make this video. I haven't made one in a while, and kind of show everybody as far as the height of the trailer, how it's going to look. Like I said, the door is kind of going to be somewhere in this area, probably about like this. And I'm pretty sure I ordered this door white. I just got it out of the box today to make this video. Everything else I have is white. So I'm pretty sure I didn't mess up and order that black. I'm pretty sure they messed up and sent the wrong color. I doubt I'm going to send it back. I'm probably going to use it anyway. I'm building this trailer for me, not for winning any kind of construction awards or anything like that. So if it looks weird with the door being black and everything else being white, I don't care. The exterior finish is actually that aluminum embossed to make it look like diamond plate. I actually have it coming in gray. So I don't think it'll look terrible, but we'll see how that goes. But you can kind of see here that with the hitch I have here, the trailer's going down. I'll probably end up getting a different hitch that's got it raised up to raise that up a little bit, maybe to make it level, but that's no big deal. You know, I might decide I want this back up as high as possible and leave it like that. So there's really not going to be anything under there. I have a spare tire that's mounted under there, and like I was telling you, I'm going to put a 6-inch pipe back here for the gray water, but with that being so close to the tire, that won't run into any kind of obstacles. So I'm not taking this thing rock crawling, you know, so it's going to go to Utah, to Moab. I'm going to unhook it and make a base camp out of it. So that's the main reason I'm kind of doing it this way. There's no extra weight in the truck. I'm not driving around with a truck rack and a rooftop tent and my refrigerator, my batteries and all that stuff. This is my daily driver, this truck. I don't want that weight in that truck just because I'm using the truck for camping, you know, 3 or 4 months out of the year. So that's kind of the whole point of doing this. And I'm 60 and I have no desire to sleep on the ground anymore in a tent. Obviously, got plenty of room in the back of that truck. I could throw an easy up, a tent, and all my gear in the back of that and keep it super simple. But like I say, I'm going to be spending 3 months a year in this thing, and I figured I'm going to appreciate the comfort. All right, it's been kind of a long video. I appreciate it if you stuck around this whole time. I want to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel. It's always nice to see people subscribe. Not getting a whole lot of views. I'm not planning on monetizing the website, the YouTube channel, excuse me. So it's no big deal. I just think that there's a lot of content here that's useful if you're thinking about doing something similar as far as building a truck or the trailer. You can kind of see what I've done, and if you've got a comments, and I'm not real big, I don't keep up with the YouTube channel specs, so if you do leave a comment, I will get back to you. I just most likely won't be right away, but every once in a while I'll go and check to see if I've got any kind of comments. All right, thanks again for watching, and have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.